If you have ever wondered what your purpose in life is, you may realize that it seems to change over time. Some people say their purpose is to be loving, to be wealthy, or to raise their children, retire, and have fun. All of these ideas about purpose and meaning are changeable, transitional, temporary. Each one is part of a tapestry of individual purposes, all contributing to aspects of our totality. Yet in truth, they are not necessarily our eternal purpose. There is a state of being that transcends all of these ideas. How we choose to define and experience that condition is part of the ultimate journey of who we are. Though on a 3D level, as human physical beings, we may have a variety of purposes over the course of our lifetime, there is a realm of consciousness that exists beyond all that.
And he said, it's as though our lives were the dream of a single dreamer in which all the dream characters are dreaming too, and so everything links to everything else, moved out of the will in nature. It's a beautiful idea. It's an idea that occurs in India in the image of what's called the net of Indra, or the net of gems. It's a net of gems where every gem reflects all the other ones. And they also have the idea of a spontaneous and simultaneous arising. Everything arises in relation to everything else, and so you can't blame anybody for anything. It's all working around. It's a marvelous idea. It's as though there were an intention behind it, and yet it all is by chance. None of us has lived the life that he intended.
And yet, we all have lived a life that had a purpose. Do you believe that?
I don't believe life has a real purpose. I mean, when you really see what life is, it's a lot of protoplasm with an urge to reproduce and continue in being.
Not true. That's not true.
Well, now, wait a minute. Just sheer life can't be said to have a purpose, because look at all the different purposes it has all over the lot. But each incarnation, you might say, has a potentiality, and the function of life is to live that potentiality. Well, how do you do it? Well, again, when my students would ask, should I do this, should I do that? Dad says I should do this, and my answer is follow your bliss. There's something inside you that knows you're in the center, that knows you're on the beam, that knows you're off the beam. And if you get off the beam to earn money, you've lost your life.
So it is not the destination that counts, it's the journey.
Yes. There's a wonderful old man, I think he's still alive in Germany, Karlfried Graf Dürkheim. And he says, when you're on a journey and the end keeps getting further and further away, then you realize that the real end is the journey. It's not bad. This is it. This moment now is the heavenly moment.
After I experienced a series of disturbing dreams and ancestral healings recently, I came face to face with this question of purpose in my own life and realized that there was something hidden underneath the shadow side of my psycho-spiritual life, something that needed to be revealed. And though I was aware that something was out there, I had no idea how to access it, nor bring it to the light of awareness. One morning, I felt really de-energized and unmotivated to do anything. I just lay in the hammock, staring at the canopy of trees and the sky, and asking for guidance, for clarity. Before long, I received an inward nudge to get up and take a road trip to Mount Ida, which is located in central Arkansas. Though I've never been to that particular area, I have had a few friends mention that I should eventually go there. They said it's a great place to dig for crystals, and it's not that far away from the thermal mineral baths in hot springs. So with no clear reason or purpose in mind, I packed a few things and set out on the 3-hour drive. I arrived in the small town around noon and found a coffee shop, then the library. This gave me a chance to meet a few locals. During this time, I stumbled across a charming shop outside of town called the Crystal Garden and made friends with the young guy who owned the place along with his girlfriend. Dominic is originally from Germany, and we had a wonderful visit, and I bought quite a few crystals. After that, I took a quick run through Wegner's quartz crystal mine, visiting the shop, which was only a few yards away. I met the owner, and we enjoyed an interesting chat about sacred geometry, Egyptian mystery schools, and a few other esoteric topics. I must admit, coming here lifted my spirit a lot. When mid-afternoon began to roll around, it was getting cloudy. I wanted to find a place for the night, so drove onward towards the east to Hot Springs. I passed through the downtown district along Central Avenue and enjoyed the stunning architecture. I found a courteous hotel where I could settle in, and since it was going to start raining soon, I needed to find a place to get something to eat. I was actually in the mood for Indian food, but there wasn't any place nearby, so I chose a Mediterranean cafe instead. Throughout the day, I kept engaging in an inner dialogue with my guides about discovering and surrendering to some sense of meaning and purpose. This had been my intention for quite a while, yet hadn't been able to receive any definite lucidity. Strangely enough, while it was raining heavily, I accidentally backed my car into some guy's truck and ended up putting a slight dent in his front grille. I felt terrible about this. So I offered the guy a generous amount of cash to settle, rather than having to go through the insurance company. It was more than enough for the repairs, as well as for his trouble. What was amazing to me was that I had absolutely no doubt, no hesitation, nor attachment about handing this complete stranger the money. It was a very respectful and honorable interaction we had. After that incident, I sat in my car and started having the most incredible release of laughter and joy. My heart was overflowing with an emotional emancipation. And that is when I realized my purpose is not anything that I do in this world. It is in listening to my gut instinct. It's in paying attention to the still, small voice inside my own heart and mind, listening moment by moment. It reminded me of a line in A Course in Miracles where the Christ said, "Learning to listen was my final lesson." In that moment, I understood something incredibly beautiful. We are divine love. We are divine breath. We are the great heart. There is nothing we need to do. It is only important to make connection. We are not separated from that source. It's always present, always directing us in each holy instant. I shifted away from the encounter, feeling incredibly blessed and abundant. It was like there was nothing more I needed to grasp in that moment. Being able to flow from a place of trust and innocence is a huge part of human evolution, especially as we begin to transition away from the third density into a more unified 5D conscious expression. This is the realm of the immortals, a place where surrender, trust, and heart coherence are completely natural and exceptionally sublime. The next morning, I visited the downtown district of Hot Springs to do some more energetic ancestral clearing. Along the way, I stepped into an artsy coffee shop just to settle into the vibe of the city, which I must admit took me some time to adjust to. There was a lot of activity early in the morning. It's more than I'm accustomed to. There were lots of tourists, and I could tell that the local mineral bath facilities were just beginning to get busy. What was really inspiring to me was the style of construction of the old buildings. I'm astonished at the craftsmanship, the ornate design, as well as how the buildings are situated in the surrounding mountains and rock. Some of these buildings are reported to have been built only 100 years ago, but from what I know about Tartaria, the advanced civilization that existed all over our planet up until recently, I suspect that some of these buildings are much, much older than what we are being told, and may actually be part of that forgotten culture. I wandered along the park trail near Bathhouse Row and thrilled to witness the hot mineral springs coming out of the ground. The water is generally about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. There are actually water stations available where the locals can freely fill bottles for drinking water. I chose to visit the Quapaw Bathhouse because they have 4 different pools, all regulated to different temperatures. And since I was still recovering from the sunburn injury when I was in Gulf Shores, I was concerned that the hot water was going to be extremely uncomfortable. Interestingly, I experienced no discomfort and was able to increase the temperature as time went on, and taking intermittent cold showers in between the pools. I spent a lot of this time tuning in to the process of continuing to communicate with my ancestors, asking them for permission and support along this entire journey of clearing my family lineage. I also meditated on the angelic influences that were all around me. And since I wasn't allowed to take film in the facility, I've had to search online for some of these photos. After about 2 hours, my body felt quite rejuvenated and relaxed. the mineralized energy of the volcanic heat, water, steam, air, and the minerals in the water were all infused by the precious living angels, and each one touched and embraced my entire being with a tremendous amount of vibrational healing energy. When that was complete, I strolled up and down the streets near the shops and eventually was drawn into a shop where I got a tarot reading. This part of the story was deeply profound and personal to my own journey, so I will reserve that for another episode. As you voyage along your own path toward primal conscious living, I hope you are inspired and transformed by the living current of life and the holy companions that will come into your life. In this way, you will learn to surrender to your spiritual purpose in whatever way is right for you. Peace be with you.